All right, let's discuss this further with Anders Aslund, a professor at Georgetown University. Professor, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I want to start by asking you, you are a specialist in economics, among many other things. So when you do the math on this bill, is it the big, beautiful bill that Donald Trump has sort of sold it to the American people as? And what can the American people actually see in terms of benefit, if any?
Well, what is true here is it's a big tax cut. It's the Trump tax cut of 2017 that is now becoming permanent. And that means a lot of money for the richest people in the United States and very little to the others. The big cut is on Medicaid. The assessment is that 17 million people will lose Medicaid, which is the medical insurance for the poor in the US, and that's $1 trillion in cut. And another big cut is for food for children in school and food stamps. So it's very much a redistribution from the poor to the rich. But you can say that this is traditional Reagan policy rather than a specific Trump policy, which is a bit curious. Comments now are, this is not what Trump was campaigning for. What is it in it for his new voters? Not really anything. And it's very difficult to see that this will lead to any more economic growth. Trump's tax cut in 2017 did not lead to more growth. And the worry, which particularly the market is concerned about, is that the public debt in 10 years will increase by $3 to $4 trillion, while the U.S. already has a public debt of more than 120% of GDP. So the U.S. has a big debt, and it will become much bigger.
Professor, there were a couple of key flips today on this bill. From the outset, there was controversy even amongst Republicans, but today we saw all but two of them vote for this bill. I'm interested in knowing how many of those flips were from people who were actually convinced of the bill's substance, and how many of these flips were from people concerned about Donald Trump's MAGA base being disappointed in them not voting for this?
Well, I think you should put it slightly different. How many were afraid of being primaried, as the term runs? That Trump has repeatedly threatened people, both in public and on phone, that if you don't vote, I will make sure that we put up enough money and a strong candidate so that you will not be re-elected in the primary elections. And members of the House of Representatives get elected in this country every second year. So they are very, very vulnerable. And this is what Trump is utilizing. You could see that Senator Tom Tillis, who now voted against Trump's tax package, got several very sharp attacks from Trump, and he responded by saying, okay, I'm not trying to get re-elected next year. And he's in his mid-60s. He could stay on. So Trump really has shown with this bill that he controls the Republican Party.
Mm-hmm. And I believe that senator, among many others, as you say, very concerned specifically about cuts to health care in the U.S. Were there any provisions made to ensure that, the people in the constituencies that these senators or these representatives represent are able to maintain some sort of access?
There was some that in order not to close down hospitals vulnerable in the countryside. A certain amount of money was set aside for it, but that was a very minor provision. So this will mean much less health care for the poor people in the United States. That's the main negative of this bill. And the main positive is less taxes for the rich and powerful and the big corporations.
All right, Professor, we will leave it there for now. Thank you so much for joining us and for your insight.